let's first get to the initial reports from Dan Raphael and Mike Coppinger to set the story up. First up, Dan Raphael. I think this was, an hour or two ago? I know right there it says a minute ago, but that's when I pulled it up. It's been a while now, probably an hour and 30 minutes ago. Golden Boy CEO Oscar De La Hoya tells ESPN that super middleweight world titleist Callum Smith turned down an offer to face Canelo Alvarez in at super middleweight on May 2nd. Quote, Callum Smith turned down the fight and he would have made 3 or 4 times the money he has ever made, and he turned it down. I wish him all the best, and hopefully he can make the money somewhere else. He's bragging how he wants to fight the best, and he turns it down. What's wrong with these fighters? End quote. Mike Coppinger reporting, because somebody asked about a rehydration clause per this, and Mike Coppinger said a rehydration clause hasn't been broached by Golden Boy in talks so far, and he adds that sources Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith each received offers from Golden Boy for a May 2nd super middleweight title bout with Canelo Alvarez on DAZN. Both offers were deemed unacceptable by their respective teams, and negotiations are ongoing. Also adding, if terms with Canelo can't be reached, it's believed Eddie Hearn will look to match Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith in a 168-pound title unification match in the early summer in the UK. Joe Gallagher, I don't have this up, but Joe Gallagher refutes this report, and then Dan Raphael came back with, look, your own fighter's promoter turned down the fight, and he confirmed it to me. Rob, have you had a chance to read the article yet? Because I haven't had a chance to read the article. Are there any interesting quotes from Eddie Hearn in there that we need to read off?
Let me get it up and read it out for the peoples.
I'm gonna skim it really fast.
That's okay. Yeah.
Oh, really quickly, I found it. Hearn told ESPN, here it is, from Dan Raphael. Hearn told ESPN he did not receive an offer for the fight from Golden Boy, quote, that we didn't accept. But Hearn said Smith of England, who has made 2 successful title defenses since winning the belt from George Groves, blah, blah, wants to fight Alvarez, but only for the right deal. Quote, we turned down the initial offer, but of course, it's the fight that Callum wants next, Hearn said. If we feel the offer is right, he will jump at the chance, end quote. And then there's some more quotes from Oscar De La Hoya that, again, I have not had the time to really read yet. But again, Eddie Hearn confirming this, reporting from Dan Raphael and Mike Coppinger. Guys, I don't know who wants to jump in there first, but thoughts on Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith rejecting the initial offers from Canelo. Is that a sign that those fights are most likely not going to happen now? Is it a sign that those are the front runners and we're probably going to get more just continuation of the negotiation? And one of those guys is the guy. Thoughts on all of this? I don't know who wants to jump in. Rob, Gary? Rob,
this is your countryman.
2/3 of them are.
Yeah. Whereas none of them are yours.
That's true.
Although you accept him as one of your own. I know. He's the biggest star in America.
He's adopted.
Yeah, I was surprised. Initially, I thought Oscar was out there being Oscar. I know he said Billy Joe wasn't a front runner. I don't even know where that came from. He's been out here lately, I guess, trying to promote. I don't know. He's just not very good at it. Just some of the interviews he's done are a bit like, I don't know, whatever, it's Oscar. But then it's backed up with reports from journalists. And it's like, oh, cool. Then I started to think, is there going to be like one of these Canelo weight clauses in there and some A-side bullshit? But it is what it is. If you're going to fight a Canelo, you do what the paymaster says, I guess. You know what I mean? He's like, if you want to fight me, you do what you're told. But then Joe Gallagher's like, what a load of bollocks, tagged everybody involved, even John Skipper and everyone like that. And what offer? I'm sure it's news to @Canelo team. And then Dan's come back and said, well, kind of like, you better go and chat with Eddie, because I'm telling you now, Joe Gallagher is fucking raging. Because if he doesn't know anything about it, or I don't know. But I'm sure if the offers have come out, Eddie just hasn't point blank refused, unless he's been given like a certain figure or something like that from the respective fighters. That if it's anything less than that, then don't even bother fucking telling me. Just will accept this and anything above. But so I don't know, but I'm sure Eddie just isn't flat refusing turning down offers without consulting their teams. You know, it must be a joint decision.
Well, first off, like I told you off air, Joe Gallagher is a trainer, and he's the Freddie Roach, Teddy Atlas of trainers in the UK. He's that version over there for you guys. And what I mean by that is he's one to talk a lot, either out on social media to media, period, more than the average trainer, because trainers usually aren't involved in the negotiation of fights. Actually, most trainers will tell you, I'm not involved in the negotiation, so I don't really have anything to tell you. Managers and promoters are the ones innately, and including agents, are innately involved in the negotiation of contracts, not trainers. And I think that Eddie Hearn definitely talked to Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders' respective management, and they all confirmed that this wasn't the right offer to accept, and they're going back for a second offer, as you do in big multi-million-dollar deals. So I don't think it's an issue of like Eddie Hearn circumventing anyone's team. No, anyone that is important in that negotiation was probably informed. Joe Gallagher is just not that person, and trainer
is. He's Callum Smith's manager.
He is actually Callum Smith's manager.
Yeah, he's his trainer manager. He's got an advisor who's like specializes in sports law and stuff like that. I'm just on his page now. Promoter is Eddie.
Oh, Joe Gallagher's just full shit. He's on social media lying like that, just point blank. You have reporters confirming this. You have Eddie Hearn confirming it. Joe Gallagher is just full shit. I thought he was just the trainer. He was involved in negotiation, and therefore he was talking out of his ass because that happens. No, he's just lying. Cool. But I don't think
a case of like don't want no one out here thinking Callum's ducking.
Of course. No. I understand why he's lying. I'm not saying fight like trainers, managers, promoters, fighters, they all lie. Like that's not an indictment on him as a character or anything like that. No, it's just that he lied in this scenario. But to the question, I've seen a lot of people say of like Eddie Hearn full out rejecting this. No, this is a negotiation process. So I assume one of these guys is still going to be the fighter on May 2nd. Because I think that's the Saturday for Cinco de Mayo. Gary, I want you to jump in here and give your thoughts on this entire scenario. Canelo and his team offering two offers to Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith, respectively. Their team rejecting it. Joe Gallagher's mixing in here, saying that this isn't true, but everyone else saying it is true. Thoughts on this all?
I think it's Callum Smith. I think that's why Oscar outed that name. I think that's the fight they want to make. And again,
or is it to make
Billy Joe
jump at it?
It could be that. He went out with, because if Callum Smith snaps back now and said, I'll accept an offer here. Here's the terms that I want, right? Or this is how bad the offer is. It's public now, right? Like, I think it's Callum Smith because they outed Callum Smith because they want that fight. And Rob, you're better fit to answer this question. Who's a bigger draw in the UK? I know Billy's probably more popular, but he's also more hated, right? So, like, who's a bigger draw? What's a bigger fight, would you say?
Who's the biggest draw? Even if you took them both to their hometowns, I would lean Callum Smith. Probably just, I don't know.
Well, Smith's a little bit bigger, you would say, right? But pretty comparable.
Yeah, they're not huge draws, or obviously Billy's more of a air quotes personality than Callum, but
in a good way, right? I think that's all. All attention is good attention, I suppose. But Billy's a piece of work, man. I think Saunders has great skill. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't want to have to work with him either. I think there's a reason why Saunders doesn't get a ton of big fights, and it's because he's probably difficult to work with. Is my guess.
What? No.
You don't think so? Oh, you're being sarcastic.
Yes.
I don't know. But yeah, I think this is just. So it's like we've got initial first offers kind of being publicized. It's not like this. Like there's been no sort of back and forth yet, and it's it's coming out real early, and
this happened with Kovalev. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you know, like this happens with big fights. You always hear like the initial offers get rejected or something, and you hear promoters go to the media and then angle for public leverage to go back to the negotiation room and leverage the contract out. I mean, it's just how it's done. And, you know, I know some fans, maybe some UK fans are like perhaps upset at Callum Smith or Billy Joe Saunders. Like, you guys have to take this fight. Like, our honors on the line in a way. Like, you have to take this one. Like, this is the big fight. But to argue on their side to reject it, if they can get 5 million and then jump up to 7 million, then they are absolutely deserving of rejecting that first offer.
Yeah, and I wanted to put that out there, right? Like, so this is obviously going to be the.
Big... I just threw out those numbers just to throw out numbers. I don't think that's what they're being offered.
But the point is, like, this is going to be the biggest fight of Callum Smith or Billy Joe's career at this point, right? So they're going to go in and lowball Billy Joe or Callum Smith and say, "Hey, it's more than you made your last fight." And they're going to say, "Yeah, but look at the total pot in this fight, right? It takes 2 to make a dance. So you're going to pay me, and you're going to pay me better than this." And you know what I'm saying? It's just that dance, you know.
And also with the DAZN inflation of the market, that is another added aspect to the negotiation with a Canelo fight. It's no longer like the big fight you have to negotiate that. It's now the DAZN money attached to it that's going to jump up your purse even more so. Look at Kovalev. He made 10 million.
Danny Jacobs, like 12 to 15 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith, you're looking at what those guys made allegedly or reportedly, which was 10 to 15 million. Again, allegedly or reportedly. I forget which one was alleged or reported. You're looking at that and say, I want that number. And Golden Boy and DAZN aren't going to offer you that number up front. So, like, I see some people, like, throwing up red flags about all of this. Relax. It's okay. Like, this is very normal.
That's what I was saying, like, with it coming out now. It's like, but in this occasion, it seems people are like, oh, there must be a rehydration clause, or that's it. Callum Smith's just lost the fight. He's not going to get it. No, this is kind of how it works. It's all coming out across social media.
And as Gary pointed out, I would not be surprised if this was, in a way, by Oscar to try to downplay Callum Smith's leverage publicly.
Yeah, he said like he's an idiot, and if people want to make idiotic in that Dan Rayfield, he's saying if people want to make idiotic decisions, you know, that's up to them. But this is the biggest fight against the biggest star in world boxing, etc., etc. I wonder if it's all been lost in translation because Oscar sent the offer by direct message on Instagram.
I'm not touching that. Roll job there, Rob. And last point I really wanted to just reiterate, because we made this point a lot. There's reportedly no rehydration clause in these offers. I still see a lot of people bringing up rehydration clause. Look, there wasn't. If you're going to believe these reporters when they have these promoters on record talking about rejecting the offer, I assume they are the people they're getting the information from when it comes to the rehydration clause information. So, like, relax, people. And again, not saying there won't be one in the future. The governor said so far, but there wasn't one in these current offers. So let's be factual here when we want to, I don't know, shit on Canelo for being like a weight bully when he's at 168 now as a 5'8" dude. Okay. Go for it, man.
It's not exactly a weight bully. That's saying, don't you become a weight bully.
Yeah.
You know, you stay close to what I'm going to be weighing, please. That's not necessarily weight bullying as in the traditional sense. That's don't you going all fucking cruiserweight on me, Callum, when you fucking fuel up. I don't know. Would it be these are the terms? This is the money. Do you want the fight? And then they go, yeah, right. There's a weight clause. Or surely they must bring up if there is going to be one.
I would not assume it's a first order issue. Like the first order issue when it comes to that sort of contract would be the money. Second order would probably be location. Third order would probably be like TV network. Where is it going to be distributed? Then you probably get to like the very fine details of like weight clauses, something like that. Certain gloves.
You get all that way. You get all that way, and they go say, "Yep, I'm fine. Yeah, I'll come to Vegas. Yeah, that money's great. Yep. Oh, by the way, you're not allowed to gain more than £10."
I would assume if I'm looking at a line item of those issues, that's at the bottom. If it's in the initial offer, because it's not the in this scenario for sure, it's not the most important factor. If I'm Callum Smith or Billy Joe Saunders, I don't really care about a rehydration clause. First off, they're largely ineffective because you weigh in at 8 a.m. on the fight day anyways. You have all fucking day to rehydrate still. You know what I mean? Like, the only thing you lose is that initial 8 to 12 hours after you weigh in to rehydrate. You only lose that much. We still have a full 12 hours to eat and rehydrate from the second day weigh-in to your fight, especially if you're a main eventer who's fighting late in the night. So if I'm Callum Smith, that's not a first-order issue, second-order issue, or third-order issue. It's money, TV, and location. Now, maybe again, to bring it back to this specific fight and this specific contract, not generally speaking here, just the specifics, because they are along the lines of network and locations all probably agreed upon beforehand, because it's Vegas, Cinco de Mayo. I don't think Callum Smith and Eddie Hearn are pushing for a UK showdown. That rehydration clause might bump up to more of a priority in the negotiation and be more of an upfront topic. But it's not an initial one. Money is the first thing that's brought up, guaranteed.
Shout out Clarissa Shields. She's tweeted, quote tweeting like the news, saying, "Now this is a shocker. They have to try and lowball Smith. That dude isn't ducking Canelo. I don't believe that."
Watch all of the UK fans now say that Clarissa Shields is amazing.
The best around.
Dude,
Gary,
real quick. Matt's right. Like, when they say like they have the same day weigh-in, that's not like when HBO shows you what they weighed in unofficially at. This is something that the commission does at 8 o'clock in the morning. So really, if you do a weigh-in at 1 o'clock at night and you have a 10-pound rehydration clause, let's say, right? You can go from 168 to 178, go to sleep, wake up at 8 o'clock, weigh in at 178, and then put on 10 more pounds, right? So the rehydration clause is kind of silly, right? Because that's still not what you're stepping into the ring at, potentially not even close. And I think that gets overlooked, right? Because when HBO was the first one to really say this is what they weigh, they weighed them when they got unofficially, like on their scales, when they walked into the venue. That's hours, 10 hours later, potentially 12 hours later from what they weighed in at the rehydration clause with the commission. So, yeah, I always thought like those rehydration clauses were like silly, kind of,
I largely think that, unless it's like you're talking about, like, let's say a Sean Porter, you're making him to fight at a catch rate already, and then you're adding a rehydration clause on top of it. Then it gets a little bit egregious because you make him come down in weight more than he usually does, and then adding a rehydration clause on top of it. That's when it becomes more of an issue, so to speak, because the IBF already has all of their championship fights have second day weigh-ins where you can't weigh over that. Was it 10% or 15%? So it's already kind of a norm for 25% of championship boxing fights, if you think about it in that context. But any last thoughts on this, guys? Because we've been talking about this for a while. Canelo, Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders. It seems like we're all in agreement that Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders are still the front runners, even with this news. And this news actually might be a confirmation that they are the front runners.
Right. If you had to pick right now, who would you think is going to be his May 2nd dance partner? I would say Callum Smith.
It's almost a coin flip between these two, honestly. Because every week it seems like it does switch to a degree. Like 51% to Callum Smith and 49% Billy Joe Saunders in Oscar's eyes and Canelo's eyes. And then the next week it's 51% of us wants to fight Callum Smith now instead of Billy Joe. And now the next week it's Billy Joe instead of Callum Smith.
To me, it seems like Rob kind of confirmed that like the pot is probably the same size with either fighter. So who's ever willing to take the short end of the stick will get the fight. Or who's ever willing to take short money will get it.
I do feel, though, if the rehydration clauses will be an issue for Billy Joe. He said he wants a fair fight. Everything, just,
But a rehydration clause,
you beat me, but just let's have everything fair. Huh?
But a rehydration clause does go both ways. Theoretically, it would still be fair. Like, Canelo can't weigh more, and it's not like Billy Joe's a big super middleweight. He's a middleweight that moved up and is a little bit chubby now.
I'm just saying. He said no. He's on interviews.
I know he said that, but I'm saying it's a little bit illogical of him to do that because A, it's still fair with the rehydration clause because Canelo still is under the rehydration clause, and I would assume so. Maybe you know what? I'll ask Oscar tomorrow. Like, not I'm asking a general perspective with rehydration clauses with Canelo. Does he also under that jurisdiction, or
just when there is one, does he have to fall under that as well?
Rehydration clause to me, and if I just look at him, I don't know what they weigh today, but like Billy Joe is 5'11" and pretty solidly put together. I would guess he walks around more than at a higher weight than Canelo does. I mean, I don't know that. I'm just looking using the eye test. So that seems like the rehydration clause would more negatively affect him, if anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems like an odd request. You know what I'm saying? It's like Barry Bonds saying, I demand everyone take a steroid test. Like, well, that's going to affect you more than anyone, but okay. It's a weird request. That's all.
Agreed. And somebody in the chat is really mad about my Twitter rants about Gervonta Davis abusing women and saying that I don't do about Kovalev. Dude, like,
that's true. Yeah.
Dude, look, we have Kovalev later on in the show. You can wait till we talk about dipshit Kovalev, dirtbag Kovalev, as Gary calls him. He calls him dirtbag all the time. Check our video section on YouTube, dude. Like, at the very top of our YouTube page, feature videos. Hit that so you can see more, because we did it a while ago when the news came out, and we have videos on his assault case. See my thoughts about Story Kovalev, and then come back here, please.
Which I say, class act, and Matt, that's sarcasm, by the way.
Yeah, he's gonna think that's real, though. He's gonna think that's real. He doesn't understand like actual human emotion.